16 interview tricks that will set you apart from the rest of the candidates that are being interviewed. Hey, I'm Abby, and welcome back to the Life Work Balance YouTube channel. I am a career and interview coach, and I'm here to help people just like you feel more confident and strategically prepared for their upcoming interviews and job search. Interviews are a very subjective process, which means that you could have all of the qualifications and still not be the best fit for the role. So here are 16 things that you can do to set yourself apart from all of the other candidates and really stand out in the minds of the hiring manager. First, before your interview, spend 1 hour researching the organization. 1 hour might seem like a lot, but if this is a job you really want, putting in 1 hour of additional prep time to research their organization will really set you apart from all of the other candidates and ideally give you a leg up when it comes to competing with those candidates. Look at the organization's website. Look at their LinkedIn page. Look at their other social media pages. See what sorts of news articles or posts they're engaging with. Just spending this hour of extra time will really show your interest in the organization. You will be able to speak to things going on in the company that other people might not be prepared to speak about. Next, arrive 10 minutes before your scheduled interview time if it is an in-person interview. If it's a virtual interview, log onto the system at least 5 minutes early. Any earlier than the 10-minute arrival time, if it's an in-person team, can make it a little bit awkward for the team that will be doing the interviews. And any later can risk you appearing disorganized. While I recommend giving yourself a big buffer to get to an in-person interview to account for unexpected traffic, getting lost in the parking lot or in the building where the interview will be held, wait until there's 10 minutes before the interview begins to actually show up to the office where you will actually be greeted by the interview staff. If it's virtual, it's much easier to plan your time. You likely don't have to worry about travel. You likely don't have to worry about finding the interview location, anything like that. So if it's a virtual interview, just make sure that you're prepared and ready to go. You've tested your equipment, you've tested the technology, and that you log into the system 5 minutes before the interview begins. It's likely you'll be in the waiting room until the interview starts, but being timely demonstrates that this is a trait that you have and is an important trait as an employee. This leads me to my third tip, which is treat everyone with respect. This is the recruiter. This is a receptionist. This is a coordinator. So treat everyone with respect, both via email, in those virtual correspondences, as well as in person. If you have an in-person interview, the people conducting the interviews will often ask the receptionist or the person who greeted you when you arrived to the building how it was interacting with you. If you don't treat them with respect, it will get back to the hiring team. My fourth tip is to bring a notebook and a pen. Ideally, you have a Padfolio, which is more of a professional folder. It's usually leather, has some folders or places where you can store business cards, copies of your resume, a pen, maybe even sticky notes or little flags, as well as a notepad. What's great about a Padfolio is it keeps all of your important things together in one professional, organized place. If you don't have a Padfolio, then bring a notebook and a pen. You don't want to overdo it during the interview by taking excessive notes, but taking a few notes can demonstrate your engagement during the interview process. It can also help you remember key points. So ahead of time, you can prepare some notes of things that are really important that you want to touch on during your interview. This is not paragraphs of information. These are quick bullet points that will jog your memory so that you don't forget important things that you want to share during the interview. The other thing that I highly recommend writing down in your notebook are questions that you want to ask at the end of the interview. Which brings me to tip number 5. I recommend asking at minimum 3 questions at the end of the interview. Ideally, you have more than that prepared, so probably closer to 5 questions prepared for the end of the interview. Have these questions written down in your notebook so you don't forget them. You want these questions to be thoughtful, and you want them to demonstrate your genuine curiosity and interest in the role. It also shows that you're prepared and that you've thought about this ahead of time. All of those things are qualities of a good employee that hiring managers and interviewers are looking for. During the interview, when the interviewer is asking you questions, pause for 2 to 3 seconds before you respond to their question. This very short pause shows thoughtfulness and maturity. It doesn't demonstrate hesitation or insecurity. Practice in advance when you're doing a mock interview or practicing your answers to questions. Practice the pause. That way it feels more natural to you and doesn't feel like you have to rush to get your answer out. You also want to ensure that your answer is concise, that it's not too short and not too long. Practice your answers ahead of time so that you know what your timing looks like. Ideally, your answers will be between 60 seconds to 90 seconds long. This is long enough to provide some context and substance to your answer, and short enough to stay focused and interesting. My 8th tip is to use the interviewer's name during the interview. Just once or twice, drop the interviewer's name into the interview. Once or twice is just enough to feel personal and not to go overboard with using their name. You don't want it to feel forced, but you do want it to feel natural and more personalized. People feel good when you remember their names. So when you can use the interviewer's name, you'll make a good first impression. You want to match their pace and their tone. So this isn't parroting or imitating the interviewer, but it is mirroring how they're showing up. So if you have an interviewer who is a little bit more slow paced, maybe a little bit more quiet, you're going to match their pace and their volume. You don't want to speak really loud and boisterously or quickly to a person who is more slower paced and quiet. So match them where they're at with their pace and their tone. Show your interest physically. Sit up straight, lean forward, make eye contact. Not uncomfortable eye contact that you're never breaking and you're giving them the death stare, but make eye contact so you're demonstrating your interest. Keep your hands visible. If you have them in your lap and it doesn't look like you're moving at all, that feels a little bit strange and robotic. Keep it natural, organic. Nod occasionally and smile. So demonstrate your interest with your body language. Show your interest physically. If the interviewer asks you a question and you don't know the answer, it's okay to say that you don't know. Now, you don't just stop there and say, I don't know, next question. You can engage in some hypotheticals. So for example, if they ask you a question and you really don't know, you could say, that's a great question. I'm not quite sure, but here's how I would approach it. This demonstrates your humility by acknowledging that you don't know, as well as your problem solving of how you think you might approach that type of situation if you were facing it. When it comes to answering interview questions, focus on one main idea per question. In addition to keeping things brief, remember 60 to 90 seconds per answer, try to hit one clear theme per response so that you can keep your answers very clean and easy to follow. If you believe you have any red flags in your background, own those red flags directly. If it comes up, address resume gaps or past mistakes confidently and directly and briefly. Do it without getting defensive. Acknowledge it and then move on. When you're asked about your past experiences or past jobs, prioritize the lessons learned. Spend 90% on those lessons learned and not necessarily what went wrong. When the interviewers are asking these types of questions, they're more focused on your actions and the results, not necessarily all the things that went wrong. Now, if something goes wrong during your interview, stay calm and recover with grace. Maybe you experience a technology glitch if it's a virtual interview, or you completely draw a blank on how to answer a specific question during the interview. Take a deep breath, smile, and say, let me try that again. Interviewers are people too. They recognize that things happen and things can go wrong. So the better you handle those problems when they arise, the better it demonstrates to the interviewers that you're a good fit for the role. And finally, send a personal thank you note after the interview. Within 24 hours of your interview, ideally about an hour after the interview, send a short, personalized thank you note. It can be an email that is 4 to 6 sentences long, that is sincere and enthusiastic, and thanks them for the opportunity to interview. If you have any follow-up questions, that thank you note is a great time to ask them. And then also just reiterate your enthusiasm for the position and how you're excited for the next steps. So there you have it, 16 interview tricks that will set you apart from the other candidates. If you are preparing for an interview and you would like some additional one-on-one support, I offer one-on-one interview strategy sessions and mock interviews to help people just like you prepare for their upcoming interviews. If this is something of interest to you, please reach out to me today. I've linked to my website as well as my email in the description box below. I have sessions that I offer each week, but they fill up quickly. So if this is something of interest to you, please reach out to me today. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you have any additional questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, please throw them in the comments box below. I love receiving comments, and I do my best to respond to each of them individually. Just know that if I'm not able to get back to you quickly, the things you share in the comments below will likely help someone who's going through something similar in the future. And as always, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can continue to receive life, work, balance advice delivered directly to you every week. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.